Onod's off in his happy place.
Yeah.
I was just whistling to myself Africa by Toto.
Okay. Great.
Good. I'm glad we're all
You know, if both of you aren't mentally present, it's really hard for me to carry this by myself.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would have noticed. Good morning, welcome to the Hobby Rep Show, kicking off your morning with Wargaming Chat. Your hosts this morning, as always, are myself, Onod. We have the Mayor. Hello, guys. And then we also have OT.
Hi, guys.
And today we're going to be, as always, running through what we've done for Hobby, a bit of news, and we're also going to be looking at our final Rings of Power profile list. Thank God we can then forget about it forever. Stay tuned. Hobby this week. So it's not going to be a great one. The slow winds down to Christmas of our hobby is kind of depressing when you start tracking it every week on a podcast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where like we go from like quite productive like autumn where we would like paint several models a week to now where it's just like I don't have enough energy to actually lift up a paintbrush. So OT, you've painted more Riv Knights. Oh my goodness.
Why did you have to paint more? Last week it was one more.
Yeah. It was, because of my
social anxiety is the answer.
My toxic Gen Z mindset. I refuse to send emails to people I don't know. So I had to paint another Riv Knight rather than take a proxy. So instead of having to paint 15, I've had to paint 16. So I had to finish off one that I was doing anyway and then paint one without a shield. Then I had to do the banner bearer. And then I realized all my dismounts were models I haven't looked at for about 3 years. And I painted them all very badly when I painted them first. So I touched a few of those up with a paintbrush. I finished painting the army for the tournament, which is tomorrow. I think I am excited. I think I'm slightly nervous because I think I'm going to do quite badly, but I think I'm okay with that, and I think it will be quite fun. I'm actually hoping to get matched up against Mare. I think that would be quite fun. I think actually
I don't want to match up against.
I think our armies matching up in certain scenarios would be pretty hilarious.
As long as it's subjective based, I'll be.
Yeah, I was going to say because you've literally got 4 times the models I do. It would be quite fun. So. Yeah, but it should be fun. And like having put all this stupid amount of effort into painting them, it'd be nice to actually finally get them on the table.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think it'd be good to hear back how the Knights go. Mare, have you done anything resembling Hobby this week?
No, I packed my case for tomorrow, and that's basically it.
Good, yeah. I bought some models.
which have arrived.
Stretches, which have arrived. Amazing. Can we just shout out Oath War Miniatures?
Yeah.
I ordered Thursday evening, quite late. Sent Friday morning. No, I got this wrong. I ordered Wednesday evening, very late. They were dispatched Thursday morning, very early, and then, despite a Royal Mail strike, arrived on Saturday. Phenomenal.
That is pretty insane.
They're very, very like I am. So impressed with the models because I don't really like metal models.
No,
as we've established, no flash on any of the models.
No, they're all really good.
Basically, no mold lines. Like there's a tiny mold line on a couple of them, but they're so small. I'm actually considering whether it is worth filing it or whether I just leave it in case I like accidentally took off some detail because I don't think they'd be that noticeable. They're not bent or anything, like nothing's in like a weird like shape. They were packaged in like these little plastic boxes and like really securely like bubble wraps and everything so nothing could be damaged. Really impressed, gotta say. Yeah. And I probably will have painted some Burrows and Badgers by next week. Dangerous Promise. Do I leave that in? We'll see.
Yeah. Well, you did say probably. You did say probably, and that leaves you with plausible deniability.
I'm in the mood, so I might do.
Yeah, I could see you painting like 1 or 2.
They're really cool though.
Yeah,
and like the scaling's quite fun. Like the hairs are like so much bigger than a little mouse. And my 3D printed models I got roughly fit in scale wise. Like they're a bit more like cartoony. Like Burrows and Badgers, like the scaling is quite humanoid-ish, whilst some of the 3D prints quite cartoony. I'd say the only 3D print that I've got, which I don't think fits in very well, is the squirrel. The squirrel's way too big, but I've got 3D printed, but I'm not that bothered, to be honest. Yeah, but no, I'm looking forward to painting those up for our potential games, Burrows and Badgers. We'll leave that hanging there, just that we can ignore me mentioning that. If
for season 2, remember to like and subscribe.
Season 2, yeah, ding that bell. Ding it.
No, it didn't work.
Ding the bell.
Ding that bell.
Ding
Has Mayor passed out? No? Okay.
I'm reading about magic in Burrows and Badgers.
No.
He might have passed out there. I was also looking with concern.
I can't see what it does. Does it just look like I'm asleep from that angle?
Yeah, it literally did. Because you'd literally been there for like 2 minutes, and I was like, and you hadn't spoken. I was like, is he alive?
Not like asleep in like a healthy way either, in like a dangerous way. Yeah,
like the eternal sleep.
Right, so Rings of Power, we're going to be looking through our final list, and we're finally going to be looking at an evil army list, the Children of Mordor. Matt, do you want to take it away?
Yes, so Children of Mordor. I was told I couldn't just call it Mordor because that exists, and so it's Children of Mordor. Sounds a bit weird, and there's a special rule called Father, so let's see how that goes. Army bonuses. Darkness is our home. I should have called it Papa or something. I don't know. Daddy?
No,
I'll change it to Daddy. So I wanted to have this army represented kind of after Mount Doom erupts. So any battle featuring this faction takes place at night. I think that's fair because if it wasn't, then I feel like they should all have some kind of downside to being in the sunlight. So the alternative to this rule that I was thinking is maybe it starts at daytime and all the orcs get a debuff, and then every turn you roll a dice. First turn on a 5+, second turn on a 4+, etc. Then it becomes night. Then we've got Nampat. So Children of Mordor do not need to take courage tests for being broken until they're reduced to 33%. I'm just stealing from Isengard here. I think it represents their drive to stick around and take back what they feel is their home.
Is Nampat an acronym, or have I just missed something?
It's what they chant.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's what they chant.
Didn't
It's
remember
a bit of
that
a
at
weird
all.
one. Well, it did happen, I'm afraid.
Okay,
So.
I'm happy to accept that I probably just deliberately have forgotten that from just the shameless.
You just blocked it out.
Yeah, just delete.
So we've got some interesting, a couple of interesting heroes. One of which being Adar. So he's an Uruk and an elf. Children of Mordor infantry. He's got a pretty good stat line. A hand, a half sword, armor, heroic defense, march, resolve, and strike. Options for heavy armor, which would make him defense 7. Options for horse. Hatred elves, master of battle 5+. Father, aka Daddy, passive special rule. Uruk and Southland traitors within 6 gain +1 fight encounters being in range of a banner. Relentless assault. I felt like he just needed some kind of fighting thing that was a bit interesting. So he can choose to gain +1 attack and -2 defense at the start of the fight phase. So if you took him with heavy armor, he'd become defense 5 with 3 attacks. I feel like 3 attacks isn't super OP. So the fact that you're having to go down to defense 5 makes that fine. So that's it, really. That's his profile. It's pretty strong, but I feel like maybe 125 points is fair, ?
I think he should be fight 6 to differentiate him from other orc heroes. That he is like an elf.
The other orc heroes are 4, but you're right. If we were comparing him to an elf,
if you compare it to name Orc heroes, they're 5.
yeah, I mean he does
Often
lose to Galadriel and what's his face, Halbrand. So, but yeah, maybe 6 would be fairer. He does have strike.
True, he's got strike. Does the +1 fight for Uruks technically apply to him?
That's a great question. Let's say it does, because
and then leave him at 5, because then he's basically 6.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So that's
He's
what Boromir's banner does.
Right.
It gives him +1 fight, and then so him and everybody within 6. So that's what I read it as.
Okay. Yeah.
Which that's fine.
So yeah, I'm stealing that rule essentially. I just felt like he really needs to be the center of the army, and he's what rallies all the orcs, and they all sort of follow his lead. So that's kind of how I'm treating that rule.
He's like Gothmog, but actually good.
Yeah,
I think he's a bit strong because the banner effect he's got on Boromir is worth 40 points. And like Boromir is one of the best heroes in SBG, and he's run a lot with the banner. And like, if you knock 40 points off Adar's cost, that puts him at 85.
Yeah,
he's suddenly a really good hero at 85.
Yeah,
like,
I think you're right.
I think, like, for instance, what you could do if you knock him to maybe strength 4, like maybe that's possibly a good way to start. But then if you wanted to be strength 5, that's fine. But yeah, I think anywhere between like 135 to 140 would be fine, about how strong you want him to be. But yeah, like I think you could definitely build an army around him, and he'd definitely fulfill the role of like being the one leading the orcs. So it's fine.
Yeah. So otherwise, I think he's a pretty strong profile. So we'll make him 135 points. I think you're right. If you take off the 40-point banner effect, and also it's not equipment, so you could destroy Boromir's banner, whereas you can't destroy this, because it's also a passive rule, not an active. Is that right?
Yeah.
So if you transfix him, he keeps that. So.
And actually, him with heavy armor on a horse for 150, I think is fine. Like in a world where the Dragon Emperor's 170, 180, I think this guy's okay. Like,
yeah, I mean,
drag the Dragon Emperor in there.
You've also got to compare him.
The Dragon Emperor.
Compare him in the context of the army. So when we see the other heroes and the warriors, there's nothing else that gets anywhere near him. So I think you're always taking Adar.
Yeah.
So simple Uruk captain. I couldn't remember exactly what the Uruk captains are, but essentially we've got 3 profiles here: the Uruk captain, taskmaster, and warg handler, and they're all pretty much the same stats. But the captain has 2 might instead of 1 might. So 2-1-1 standard like Orky profile. Hatred elves, march, sword and armor. I should probably just make that hand weapon, shouldn't I? So that you can put whatever you want on him. You could take a shield or a 2-handed weapon, and that's it. Pretty bog standard. I think you just need that to be able to take loads of orcs. You've got the Uruk Taskmaster, same profile, 1 less might. He has a whip as well. Still has march. Doesn't have any weapons options, so you can't take a shield or a 2-handed weapon. You've really got the whip because he's a Taskmaster. Hatred elves, whip of the masters. So each time a friendly hero model within 6, including the Taskmaster itself, but excluding Adar, attempts a heroic move, march, or shoot, roll a d6 on a 4+, it does not cost a might point. This is the same as the Taskmasters in Mordor, I believe. And I've excluded Adar because I don't feel like... I don't know. I know the rule in the normal Mordor list you could apply to basically everyone. But I was thinking this kind of more applies to everyone else in the army. I can't imagine the Taskmasters kind of riling Adar up particularly. And then you're sort of balancing it a bit more. You can't just have like 5 Taskmasters around Adar and have him like with loads of might. Then we've got the warg handler. I wanted to create some kind of theme around the wargs. And so for that, I've created this profile. It's exactly the same as the Taskmaster, pretty much. It's the same points. But there's a restriction. So you can only lead wargs and up to 2 Urk warriors. I wanted to make them the kind of helpers. I felt like a whole warband of wargs would be maybe a bit much, so you can have 2 Urk warriors in there as well. And he has the Frenzy special rule. Friendly warg models within 3 may reroll wound rolls of 1 and cause terror.
Pretty good.
Thoughts?
Should he be able to take a warg?
Oh, great question. They seem too small, or maybe that particular one was too small. But I haven't allowed anyone else to ride a warg. And we don't have warg riders in this at the moment because we don't see them, do we? We don't see anyone riding a warg.
No, nobody was riding a warg in the show.
So
3 inches is quite a small bubble though. When he's 4 inches slower than them.
Yeah, that was like, is he going to be able to keep up with the wargs?
Yeah. What's the range with whip? Is it 6?
3, isn't it?
Is it 3?
I thought it was 3.
Okay. I think I might have done it because of that. I can't remember, but I think re-rolling wounds of 1 when you're already strength 4, it is okay. Causing terror is what it is the problem area, I think, in that you could have, if it was 6 inches, you could have a 12-inch wall of
I'm
I'm
not saying make the bubble bigger. I'm saying his move is going to mean that it might be difficult to actually use him.
I mean, that's the trade-off, I guess. I see what you mean.
I mean, if you're happy with it just being difficult, that's fine. But
yeah, is there an alternative idea for a frenzy thing? I mean, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to have a range, but maybe it can be just like a warband upgrade or something. I don't know.
I mean, Enrage Beast is a spell. I don't really know how thematically he would use it. Not sure it would really make sense.
Yeah, I feel like Enrage Beast might be too much. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how thematically. Maybe if it was a worse version of Enrage Beast.
A 1-point upgrade to give Wargs terror in his warband. Yeah. The only issue is though, he's an unnamed hero, so do you make him a named hero so that you can't spam it?
I think it would be fine if you had terror causing wargs. I mean, they're going to be really useful because they're fast and they can pick up objectives and hopefully not get charged. So, but after you upgrade, once you deploy them, I can imagine the wargs just going off to do their own thing while the handler rejoins the main force, at which point he's basically just a captain, which is why I kind of wanted a rule that happens in-game.
Just keep it as it is then, and you just got to deal with the fact that the wargs have to stay close to him if you want the bonus.
Yeah, maybe there's a point upgrade we could do, or maybe the 3-inch reroll wounds is separate to the causing terror, so we could have one so you can upgrade for 1 point to make them cause terror, and then he still has a 3-inch reroll bubble.
Yeah, or they could become fearless. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
it depends how strong. Like, do you think fearless for them is better than causing terror? Probably.
I think it is because they're such low courage, especially at the end of the game when you don't want stuff running away.
So maybe they become fearless, and then while within 3 inches, they can reroll wounds. So the fearless thing is separate to them rerolling the wounds.
So you're saying the fearless thing would be an upgrade, or?
I mean, it could just be wargs in his warband are fearless and can reroll wounds when they're within 3 inches of him.
Do you mean cause terror or are fearless?
So they are fearless. I wouldn't make them cause terror. I'd just make them fearless. Because then he's just acting as like a sort of. But then it's that themey. I don't really know. This is the problem. Rings of Power hasn't given us lots of work with, has it?
I think we'll leave it for now, and we can change it if we want to.
Yeah.
So moving on to Waldreg. He's very his stat line is similar to the previous one, but this is Waldreg the Fallen. So I'm treating him as a completely different profile.
He's tripped over.
Yes. So he's only got one special rule.
So bad. So... Well, it's always the shit ones that get you, isn't it?
No regrets.
Mayor, keep going. Ignore this chub.
So, special rules. Prove your worth. Friendly Southland traitor warriors are fearless while within 6 inches of Wardreg the Fallen, while Adar is alive and on the battlefield. So this is very similar to the Oathbreaker in the Isengard list, which is what I kind of wanted to model him after. It's the same kind of vibe, load of evil men coming to help the evil peeps. So Prove Your Worth does just that, and it's the same rule. And I think you'll get a bunch of fearless men that will be quite useful to charge stuff. I have seen the Oathbreaker used a few times. It never seems to pan out quite well for the Oathbreaker and his men.
Oathmaker. He made the oaths. He didn't break them.
Oh, sorry, the Oathmaker. Okay. Well, regardless, this is a rule. Yeah. So he can lead orcs, technically. I haven't put that restriction in. But yeah, so that's his profile. So that leads us down to, well, how do we feel about his might, will, fate, etc.? Because I wasn't sure really what to give him, so I just gave him 2/2/2.
He's a way better captain.
I think he should be the same as what we had him in the other one for stats.
I mean, what was he in the other one? Let's have a look.
Actually, no, because then he'd have 3 might. I disagree with myself.
Yeah, I feel like he's less mighty, but he has 1 more will, I think.
Well, he's tripped over.
I think he should be 1/0/1.
Whoa, really? I'm not sure about that.
No, he doesn't. I mean, if anything, he's quite fateful.
No.
No justification necessary.
Why?
Well, no, he's the one who climbed up the hill. He climbed up the hill and stabbed the sword in at the end.
Yeah, but didn't that entire hill then just like collapse with the water?
No.
He's an excellent swimmer. It's in the canon.
Yeah, no, he is. I have heard that.
Okay.
If you want to keep his stat line the same, you need to make him like 60 points, I think.
Really? That's the same as Isengard captain.
But he's 2/2/2, and if you compare him to your other captains, like for what is it, the same points, he's got an extra will and extra fate.
Oh yeah,
and an extra courage.
Yeah, basically the only thing. Yeah, okay, he's definitely 60 points then.
Maybe 60 stars, maybe 55. But yeah, like he
with his special rule, maybe 60.
Yeah.
Okay, so Southland traitors. Move 6, fight 3, strength 3, defense 5, attacks 1, 1 wound, 3 courage. Armor, sword, axe or pick, bow, shield, spear, 2-handed weapon. Really simple profile for those. Then the
are they Gondor warriors? Is that the Gondor warrior stat line or something? I think.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
Maybe courage 3 is a bit much.
That's fine. If they're men, there should be courage 3. So, and that's a stat line that already exists. I think it's an Eastling stat line as well.
So for 1 point less, then you get the Uruk warriors, which are 1 less shoot value, so 5 up instead of 4 up. Their defense 4 instead of 5, and their courage 2 instead of 3. And they can take pretty much the same things, but they can take an Uruk bow or a banner as well. And they don't come with armor as standard. Obviously, that's why they're 1 less. I haven't given them the option for armor, though. They can just take a shield. So overall, actually, Southland traitors could be more defense. They could be defense 6. That seems a bit much.
Why do Southland traitors have armor and orc stone?
Why do they have armor and what?
The orc stone.
The what?
I'm trying to eat this biscuit without being noticeable.
What biscuit?
I'm hearing orc stone.
Why do the Southlands traitors have armor and the orcs don't?
Oh, the orcs don't. Great question. I don't know. What do you think? Should we give them? Well, I didn't want them to be the same stat line, but I don't really know what to change.
Given Southland traitors armor, but then in the Southlands list, their warriors don't have armor.
Okay.
So then the rationale is that they're going to the orcs and that they're being given armor, but then you haven't given the orcs armor.
Okay.
So it just ends up not making sense.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll take the armor off them, off the traitors.
Or you could give the traitors base having a shield.
I think the traitors shouldn't have armor and the orcs should, and it should be a trade-off between orcs are better at fighting, the traitors have higher courage.
Yeah. Okay. So they're both 5 points.
Traitor, yeah, and maybe the traitors might be your back line because they're a bit higher courage and a bit better shoot value, so they might be hanging back a bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so moving on to Uruk Prowlers. The Uruk that tunnels and fights Theo, I kind of wanted to represent the ferocity that he was showing. So
to the best bit of the entire TV show.
Yeah, so comparing the Uruk warrior to the Prowler, it's 1 more fight value, fight 4, strength 4 instead of strength 3, and 2 attacks, courage 3. So this is essentially a feral Urukai with 2 less courage.
And 3 less points? 2 less points?
3 question mark? 2 or 3 less points.
That's real good. I mean, I know feral Urukai are terrible, but like...
Yeah. I mean, these also get Stalk Unseen, so maybe the points should definitely be 12. Not 10,
Let me have
as
a
they
look.
were before.
I mean, let's have a look. So feral are 13, and they're exactly the same stat line, but courage 5. And they get oblivious to pain. So yeah, I reckon your prowlers could be 11 or 12.
Yeah, I think 12 is fair with Stalk Unseen.
Yeah.
So that's the Prowlers. Then we've got Wargs. It's just the Warg profile. And that's it. That's the list.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, quite similar units to, like, what's it called? The normal Mordor list. And, like, actually, I think the Prowlers, I think they're the type of unit you'd take a few, but you wouldn't, like, spam them, which is kind of what you'd want to avoid.
I think your Prowlers are too many points.
But they're 1 less than Feral.
Compare them to a Morgul Stalker.
That's the one I was looking for. I can't find its rules.
Which is 10 points. It has 1 less fight, and then it has the exact same stats.
Oh.
Yeah, I think 11. I think 11 for them is fair.
Let's do 11 then. That seems like a fair compromise.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I kind of wanted the Mordor list to be like a prelude to the actual Mordor list. So I was going for similar vibes. You've got similar heroes, similar warriors, but slightly flavored. So Realm of Angbor, is it?
The Realm of Angbor. And I will have completed the army composition by the time we post this.
I can see it right here.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. There it is. The Realm of Angbor. The Realm of Angbor. Then, this is like a very minor list that we threw together to represent that one scene. I say we threw together. I did for no reason other than, I don't know, boredom.
Yeah,
that one
you were
scene,
very bored.
That one scene at the beginning when you still think that there's hope for this TV show, where you see Sauron looking cool in his northern fortress of Angbor with all of the orcs, and then it is much less cool than that for the rest of the show. So this has 3 lists, not 3 lists, 3 profiles in. It has Sauron, the Lieutenant of Morgoth, the Snow Troll, and the Orc Warrior. We'll start off with Sauron. Oh no, I haven't done the army bonus. The army bonus, Frozen Wastes. Any models suffer -1 to their courage when they were within 6 inches of models from this army, because they had the whole thing like where the elves were like, "Oh, our flames can't feel the warmth," and then Galadriel's like, "It's because it's so evil." Do you remember that bit? Well, I know Mare won't.
Okay, it's a pretty powerful rule. You've basically given everyone Harbinger.
Harbinger.
6.
Yeah.
At least it doesn't stack.
Well, it doesn't say that. But that's what I was also just thinking as well. You're -50 courage.
I think it's fine.
Thank God you're ruffians.
I think it's fine because they only have 1 hero. It was a very strong hero, but you could break this force quite easily.
I see.
And then I've given them the rule they can make war bands without needing a hero because they only have one hero.
Yeah.
So we move on to Sauron. This is similar to Sauron from Lord of the Rings, but a couple of differences. Number one, he doesn't have the One Ring. And so I've given him a pretty hefty points cost, not just because of that. I've taken away some other things from him as well. I've changed his armaments. So he doesn't have the mace, and I've removed his cool, brutal power attack he gets where he can mace everyone. Instead,
he doesn't have the mace.
Because he doesn't have the mace. He's got a spear. Quite clearly, you see a spear. I have given him this as a Master Forge, and that he can treat it as a hand-and-a-half sword, or he can treat it as a spear. He can use it as either.
Imagine having this guy supporting in your orc in combat.
It would be pretty good, wouldn't it? I've said that the player must declare what form the weapon is, so that you can't use any shenanigans with like a heroic combat and then moving him in just to make it easier. I've also tied his will points to the spear rather than just being a rule. So you could, in theory, break this with the breaking staff of power rule or like the shatter weapon, because the spear counts as a staff of power.
Yep.
He's got pretty much the same rules. Ancient Evil, resistant to magic terror. He must be your leader. There's not really many situations where he couldn't be unless you were taking like a red alliance, but he must be. His stand fast range is the entire battlefield.
Nice.
He keeps the Flames of Evil brutal power attack, and he keeps his magical powers from the list. So because he doesn't get the like basically invincibility rule, and I've taken away his best brutal power attack, I dropped him to 300. I felt that was fair. What do you think?
He's crazy. He's crazy powerful. Like, I don't actually know how much he is worth. I mean, he kind of becomes a bit like the Balrog, I guess, in this list, doesn't he? Like, as in the Balrog does in Moria. Like, you're just relying on him, putting him a lot of work. Except he doesn't get a free heroic combat every turn. So, like, actually, I think he might not end up doing that much in terms of like actual killing in combat. But like, nobody's actually going to be able to kill him, are they? Realistically, like,
I don't know. I think you'll be surprised. Like, think of he's essentially like a Treebeard-esque figure now that he doesn't have the One Ring, and Treebeard will die. Right, Treebeard is not invincible. He has the highest spike compared to Treebeard, but everyone's going to be striking anyway. So at that point, I actually think that if you get some burly dudes on him, he probably would go down.
But D10 is so nuts. Like, D10 is absurdly high. Like, that means strength 4 is wounding on 6s by 5s, which is problematic. And even like, I'm trying to think of some like really powerful. Like, I mean, even strength 5 on with a 2-handed would still be like 5s by 3s or whatever. Like, it's so hard to actually kill this dude.
But then that's why he's 300 points.
Yeah, for sure. And it would be like, it would be really interesting to see if like you could actually get value from him in a game. Don't really know.
Meh, 300 points.
I think it's fine. In the context of the army, you really need something. It is a bit of a meme, but it's basically like, I don't know, people actually do take Sauron with just loads of dudes in competitive play. So I think it's absolutely fine. Yeah.
So we move on then to the Snow Troll, who is essentially the Cave Troll profile with the same rules except for a unique brutal power attack, which is instead of making strikes, a Snow Troll may roll a d6 for one enemy model involved in the same fight, including Spear and Pike Sport. On a 4+, that model is treated as being under the effect of a Paralyzed spell.
It's pretty weak, to be honest.
Pretty
weak.
Yeah. And that's why I haven't increased the base cost. I just thought it was something you could.
And it's niche enough that, like, I mean, I guess the only time you're going to use it is when you're attacking like a one powerful hero in combat, maybe.
I think even on a 4+, I'd rather just hit them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it should be automatic and then increase the cost to 85, maybe.
I feel like it has a useful purpose in the sense that you can take out an enemy hero, and then it means that Sauron is given more freedom to keep doing what he does.
But only on a 4+, and if you've got 3 attacks and your strength 6, you might as well just hit them.
Maybe.
If it's a spear support, you can't get to them, though. So if for some reason their hero is supporting, which can't see that happening, but if they are, then you can try and get to them. But then why wouldn't you just barge and then attack them?
You'd have to win another combat.
Yeah, I can't see it, but you still only get this on a 4+. At least then you have a chance to actually wound them.
Well, it's just a brutal power attack.
I think it's a themey thing that wouldn't happen that much in game, but it's cool that it exists.
It'd be good against a Mummock.
It'd be good, actually, if Gil-galad was supporting the dude in combat and you didn't want to fight him directly, you could just...
There you go.
Reason.
Anyway, and then the Orc Warrior, who is just an Orc Warrior.
Nice.
Sound.
There you go.
Here we go.
Just to cover the realm of Angkor there with a little list. Right, we move on to the main event, the Harfoots. What everyone is screaming out for in SBG, another Hobbit list. It's what the people want.
I feel like you're like judging my kids or something at some kind of talent show. I feel like you're just
Harfoots.
You're like, yeah.
Stay true to each other.
Yeah. Actually, I had to cut a load out of that quote because the middle bit was so cringe. I hated it so much. I just had to get rid of it, and I couldn't be bothered to go.
I mean, I thought that was just the whole quote because I forgot.
No. There's a bit about mining and getting grain, and it doesn't matter. So these on the side of the screen is the army composition. I had to look all these up. So if you find any more, let me know, and I'll make some profiles for them. But I couldn't find any more, so this is all I could do.
Dangerous comments.
Yeah, no, I will actually do it because I actually enjoyed making these. This is the army bonus. We're Harfoots, we stay true to each other. If during a fight, yeah, you can read it. 2 or more, so it has to be 2 or more. So any combination can be heroes, infantry, doesn't matter. As long as 2 of them are in base contact, they get +1 fight. The last one I'm a bit less certain about, the +3 warband capacity. It was originally put in when I had less heroes of fortitude and more minor heroes, but I still think the army kind of needs it because the army's really weak. So yeah, it's something that's in there, and you're going to have to hoard out. Okay, next one. Largo Brandyfoot. I hate the names so much. It's so bad.
They're like if you asked an AI to create a Hobbit name.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Or yeah, it's like some teen fanfic stuff, isn't it? Anyway, the theme you'll notice with this list is everyone's unarmed, and basically they have to take war gear or they have to take buffs to become armed. That's kind of the theme. So you can see a stat line there. I think he's a fairly generic points value in terms of might, will, fate for like a Hobbit hero. Everyone has Stalk Unseen because actually I think the one thing that was pretty consistent in the show was that they were really good at hiding. So yeah, that's the thing. Largo was a pretty optimistic bloke. He broke his ankle and he seemed pretty cheery about it. So I was like, yeah, sod it. He can be a relentless optimist. The thing I've put most time and effort into and the thing I'm most protective over is the wagons.
Okay.
I've created basically for each sort of like family.
Except for Poppy. Poor Poppy doesn't get one.
Well, no, because her family abandoned her, and
she has her little mini wagon.
Okay, well, maybe we can put one in for that.
I think we should.
Yeah. Anyway, the Brandyfoot wagon. It's a unique heavy object. What I mean by this is it will be on like a 40mm base, or maybe a 25mm base. I'm not sure, but I think it would have to be 40mm to actually be a wagon.
40mm.
Yeah. And basically they're unique, so you can only take one of each type because multiple models can take the Brandyfoot one. It's D6 with 3 wounds. I figure that's okay-ish. So this one, and basically they all base act as a 3-inch banner, and they would count as a banner for victory points. I've decided on that, so like it at least gives them some kind of chance in competitive play. And the special rule for the Brandyfoot one is that if somebody's in base contact at the end of the move phase, a bit like Bill the Pony, roll a d6, they can get a might, will or fate back at the end of the turn.
Like it.
So yeah. I mean, basically, all the heroes are really weak. They don't offer anything apart from warband space and buffs, essentially. So that's what he does. He can take a dagger, but like I don't know if he would. Right, next one, Nori. Yeah, look, it's a lifelong bond. It's back.
A life. Well, to be fair, it has been the whole of the stranger's life. So
exactly.
It's going to be so good in this case, isn't it?
Makes it so hard to balance things. Because if you take her without the stranger, she's useless. But if you take her with the stranger, whoa, it's pretty good. So yeah, she's marginally more expensive because she comes with more might, will, and fate because she was more central to the story. Essentially, I said I'll explain why this is relevant to the stranger later, but he's got a thing called wild magic, which she helps him pass. And then because she was a bit like, I'm going to do my own thing, you don't control me. She can only benefit from heroic actions of certain people, I guess. And she can take the wagon if she wants to, though I don't think you would take it with her. Any thoughts on any of these? Like, you don't have to if you think they're OP, if you think they're rubbish.
I like them. I really like the wagons.
Yes.
So I will the wagons.
Yeah, nice. Also, I think that you could make the models of the wagons so cool. Like,
yeah.
I'd be so hyped for that. And actually, if they expand these, you could do like more wagons. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, in my eyes, like Bill the Pony's about that many points, and he's probably arguably a bit more useful than the wagon.
Yes.
The wagons are maybe a little bit more difficult to kill because of defense, but then their movement is going to be really restrictive because they're heavy
Yes.
on. So I think they're fine.
Yeah, and actually, I really like that theme-wise because they're a pain to move around, but like they will be fairly sturdy. Anyway,
I'd be interested to see what the wild magic thing that the stranger has.
Yeah,
it's not that big.
No, it will explain it later, but it's not game breaking. I can understand your concern.
3 fate on Nori.
No,
why 1 fate on Largo?
Because Largo broke his ankle and he's a bit of a flimsy guy, whereas I think Nori's going to be more central to the storyline.
Okay, but a lot of your heroes have the same fate as the person who does definitely actually die.
They're Hobbit heroes.
Yeah, they're
Hobbit heroes have one
Hobbit heroes. Well, a lot of them are pretty shit. Yes, only the big ones get like multiple might, will, fate.
Okay.
Yeah, and like with Nori, if I gave her 3 fate, the stranger gets 3. Would end up with 6 fate, and like nobody wants that.
Okay.
Marigold, she's Nori's mum, because Games Workshop sexist, I knocked her down to 1 fight, so I hope you're happy.
If happy is the right word.
But yeah, so she's the same, but I think she's got a slightly stronger rule. Basically, because she seemed like a pretty friendly person, I said you could re-roll the dice to regain might, will, fate with the wagon. So as long as she's around, you have a higher chance of getting it, and suddenly that like gives you a really high chance of getting that back. Yeah.
Very nice.
Poppy. Now, there was a brief phase where Poppy instead gave you fight, and with the original version of another model I'm going to talk about later, it meant you could actually pretty consistently get your heroes to fight 5. So I decided to nerf that.
Yeah.
Change it around a little bit.
Strength makes more sense because the song was when they were pulling the wagons.
Yes, exactly. So I've had a bit of a rethink. Basically, she's like a banner for strength. And I think the way you would end up comboing her is you just leave her by the wagon, sing the song, back to the wagon, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, +1 strength doesn't feel too game breaking. She doesn't have any might. And then, yeah, she seemed pretty tied to the Brandyfoots, so she gets +2 courage.
Otherwise, she's a wagon, though.
Yeah. Does she need her own mini wagon? Okay, I'll have a think. I'll have a think. A 15-point one or something.
Yeah.
Right. My man Sadok. I'm not so sure about this one, but fine. Right.
Lenny Henry.
Lenny Henry. He's one of the few ones who counts as armed, just because he had a walking stick, which I'm saying is a 2-handed club. Courage 4. He gets some fairly decent stats. His rules are the main reason you would be taking him. Firstly, he's the only one who's Hero of Valor, which is quite nice for warband capacity. With the army bonus, gives you 18, which is quite nice. He's leader of the migration, so he was the one moving them around. He gets the march for free, which I feel would be quite useful. His wagon is a bit tougher. It's D7, and then basically, if he's in contact, 6-inch banner, because I think he was kind of leadership guy, so I thought that was quite good. And then the Star Book, which is the one they had that kind of like predicted the future, I just treated it like the Palantir. I said it was worth 10 points. I don't really know. Like,
the fact you can automatically win or lose priority is quite interesting.
Is that different to the Palantir?
Well, the Palantir is you just automatically win priority.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know whether you intended it to be the same as the Palantir. I think it's cool that it's different.
Okay.
I don't think it makes it worth anything different necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, arguably it would be worth more, but I'm not sure how many times you want to lose priority.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes sense because they're like, oh, we want to like hide, so we're going to let them do their thing, and we're going to observe it, and then make our action. Yeah.
But that's logic with him. I think you'd put him in most armies because I think he's actually got the best wagon, and like a 6-inch banner for what would effectively be like 65 points with him fully kitted is pretty good.
I mean, all the Hobbit heroes together is 140 points. So you're taking all of them all the time, and then probably the stranger on top.
Yeah, but think about the cost of if you want to give them a weapon and a wagon.
Oh, yeah, the wagons.
Yeah.
This is true.
Wagons adding 75 points onto that.
Gets expensive fast.
It does. But then your warriors, as you'll see later, are stupidly cheap. So,
Except also very good ones.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about those in a second because those are the ones that anyway. Malva Meadowgrass. I hate that so much. I hate it so much. It's the worst name ever written about any fantasy thing ever. It's awful.
Got good alliteration. I think that would be an excellent name for burrows and badgers.
Wow. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. What animal would they be?
I think a mouse.
I was thinking a mouse as well, but like a field mouse.
Yeah, like a little field mouse or
hiding in the meadow. Yeah,
makes sense. No. They'd probably be really good cooking mouse, not to cook with, but you know.
Well, you could cook
with. You could, yeah, it's true. Yeah,
a badger would
the darker end.
Yeah,
or a hedgehog.
So Malva. Oh, why do I bother trying to get this back on track? Malva.
Probably a squirrel as well.
Malva's the one who takes over after Sadok dies as leader of the migration, essentially. So I just gave her his rule as long as he's not on the battlefield. So yeah, that's essentially it. And she can also take the Star Book as long as he doesn't have it. And then she's got her own wagon. Her wagon's slightly different. It's very specific for march or move. So as long as somebody's in base contact with it, on a 3+, you get it for free. I don't know how strong it is. Like, I think the way you would end up running this list is a bit like, this is going to be a stretch. But you know how you used to do with Rides of Theoden when gambling wasn't nerfed and you could just like spam might and then regain it all?
Yeah.
I think the idea of this would be like you spend all your resources as quickly as you can, get them back and then go again. It's the only way you can actually win anything.
The main difference being that you don't have mounted Rohan heroes to use the might. You have fucking useless hobbits. Yeah, I think it really represents their sort of struggle to survive, really.
Yeah, and if you take this to a tournament, you're going to struggle to survive.
Yeah,
I think everyone would enjoy beating the shit out of this list.
Yeah,
very cathartic for the Rings of Power. Yeah,
fucking take that, Meadowgrass.
I have a question. Are these wagons battlefield or siege targets?
Battlefield.
Okay, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't think sieges are particularly
siege engines would be really good at this. Actually, I think a siege target would have to be either huge Yeah, because like even a troll isn't a siege target technically.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that would be. Yeah, I don't think. I really hope they don't involve any Harfoots in any sieges at any point in Rings of Power.
It wouldn't end well.
I think they should.
Right, the Stranger. Now, I don't think it'll be too controversial. Actually, I think he's fine. He's a weird magic man because I couldn't remember what else to call him, so I've just put that.
Yeah, the key words for other factions that have to deal with him being weird magic man, hatred, weird magic man. It should just be Sauron ?
Yeah,
to distinguish him from Sauron.
What did Gandalf have as his keywords? I didn't actually look. I should have looked.
I think he's just a man.
Wizard.
Oh, wizard. Okay,
That
we'll
makes
put
sense.
wizard then. Put wizard.
That makes a lot more sense than weird magic man. But I think I prefer weird magic man.
I know. I thought it suited him. But basically, he's got Gandalf's stat line, but one lower fight, same strength, defense. Actually, maybe one less defense. I think it might be one less defense. But wounds, courage, might well fate. He's unarmed because at no point did I see him holding a weapon, apart from maybe a rock. I don't allow that.
Staff.
I don't think he did, but they gave him the staff and then he put it down. I think. I don't.
No,
think
he used it to like banish them, didn't he?
Oh yeah, and then he gave. I don't think he picked it back up.
He had that apple as well.
Right. Okay.
Don't forget the snails.
Oof. So his rules to try and link it to the army a little bit. He gives them resistance to magic because he's magic, and then wild magic. It's a bit tricky to try and like a bit like with what's his name, Halbrand, trying to capture that idea of like things not going quite to plan. Basically, the mishap in this case is the spell just doesn't go off on a roll of a 1. I guess that's fine. But it's basically I intended it to be the first time you successfully cast each type of spell, but maybe it's just the first time you successfully cast a spell. As in, like, the first time you cast one spell the whole game. But I meant each time you successfully cast one spell, but you could balance that either way. His spells are, you can Panic Steed, Terrifying Aura, Wrath and Tremor. I thought they were fairly good. I don't think it makes sense to give him like Blinding Light or anything like that yet. I don't think he's doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I think it's good.
Yep. But yeah, I think you'd take him quite a lot because I think he actually does give you pretty useful tools in the army. And yeah, he's actually the best combat hero.
Should he have some sort of banish spell?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, banish is a spell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Should he?
I mean, what does banish do? I'll look now. Is it good? Because I didn't really want to give him many good spells.
I mean, it's only good against like spirits, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we haven't actually made profiles for the evil dudes that the Harfoots fight against.
No, they would be spirits? ?
They were barely in the show.
Bit of an oversight, though.
Nah, they're not really a faction, are they?
No. And also, they're dead now, so
yeah, who cares?
We don't know that.
Can you imagine anyone actually wanting to play as them?
They could be resurrected. I can imagine people wanting to play as them because they had quite a cool like costume design. Not very Tolkien, but
you could definitely put banishment on him. Like, I'd be fine with that. Yeah, it doesn't seem particularly versatile, so yeah, you could put banishment in.
The wild magic thing.
Yeah.
Does this essentially just happen once per game?
Well, so that's what we're talking about. Like I worded it in the sense that each time you successfully cast each type of spell, so the first time you do Panic Steed, you would roll. That's how I meant it. It doesn't have to be that way, but
I think because in order to create like a stronger need for Nori and for Nori to be near the stranger from a fluff perspective, perhaps you could make it a 1 or a 2. The spell is cancelled. That way, you're more like, okay, I really need to like not have that happen, so I'm going to have Nori, and then there's more incentive for your opponent to also kind of attack into Nori potentially and separate them.
True. I just didn't want it to be that like you had to take them as a pair, because I was worried after Durin and Disa that I'd essentially created like just pairs of heroes that you had to take together in order to make them viable.
It's true.
Because I think if you made wild magic more impactful, you probably have to knock him down maybe to like 105 or 100, make him a bit cheaper. But yeah, it's really tricky. Like with my flipping lifelong bond rule, it's made like everything that you change on one character, you also change on the other one, and like it's made balancing them a bit more challenging.
It's almost like that rule shouldn't exist.
Okay, let's go to the Warriors, because I think we're again dedicating like half of the episode to just my
big hype Warriors though. Here we go.
Harfoot Warriors. Right. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about
drugs?
You think about Tolkien's writing. That's right, narcotics. So, basically, it's to represent a forager who's gone out into the woods, come back with a basket of mushrooms.
Similar
Special
and they are
stuffs.
Mushrooms that have magical properties. They make the Harfoots fearless, and instead of being unarmed, they instead count as being armed.
I think it's on a 2-up.
On a 1-up, they die.
To represent them just eating a regular mushroom.
Can it not just be like
nothing happens?
Like Build a Pony, where it's just like food and resources, like as opposed to them literally being high.
No, I think that's fine.
It's not very Tolkien, is it?
Tolkien has to take weed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also,
yeah, this is true.
Also, Rings of Power wasn't Tolkien. That was very clear from like episode 3 onwards.
Yeah, but we didn't see anyone using like magic mushrooms.
I think we did.
Yeah.
Do you not remember?
Okay.
Gaslight.
It's a key part of the pod. But yeah. So essentially, what this does is it ends up replacing the need to take war gear on your other warriors
because they're all high.
Because they're all high.
Yeah.
So
what part of being high means that you have like a lethal weapon?
You use your fingernails.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So essentially, like it was representing them going a bit nuts because they're like completely cracked out and they're literally.
I do remember that moment where they were completely cracked out.
Yeah, exactly. You get it.
Fucking hell.
It should be.
Feel it however you like, listener.
I think that rule for purposes should be more like on a 6+ they don't take a wound or something.
No.
Rather than
I'm sticking with
fucking get crack-addled.
But it makes sense. They become more dangerous in close combat, and they're fearless. Like they're not scared of anybody.
I'm disappointed that it isn't them eating snails.
Yeah, but why would snails make them do that? Why would that make them count as armed?
The snail might have eaten some magic mushrooms previously.
Right. Okay. So that's but you
can see like
the difficulty.
You're just adding a middleman. You're not even cutting a middleman out.
A middle snail.
Also, well, presumably the forager becomes armed as well, and he's eating.
Yes, it also applies to the forager. Yeah.
Why would you not just take multiple of these though?
You would.
But that's the point. You can't become armed multiple times.
Yeah, but like you're just gonna have like so many of these that there's no way that the opponent can counter it. And at which point it's like
counter what
being armed?
Counter what being armed?
Yeah, but my point is, why didn't you just make them all armed rather than deciding that they were all going to be on drugs? Why not just give them a weapon? Why didn't you just say that they all have a dagger? Because they basically all do at this point.
Why does this
instead, you were like, I want them to be high.
I think
it's an integral part of this army.
This should be a different bonus because you can still arm. You're giving two ways of solving the same problem. The villagers can take daggers, or you can take some forages, and then they count as having daggers and being fearless. Why don't you just refluff it so that this makes them fearless and take a couple points down, and then actually allow villagers to just take daggers as they have.
Why don't you make it so that rather than every hobbit in the army having Stalk Unseen base, they have to be within 6 inches of a forager to get Stalk Unseen?
But I don't think foragers are particularly stealthy.
Well, unless the forager's carrying like camouflage supplies.
Yeah. okay, scrap that then. But just make it something different.
Just make it fearless. Just make it fearless.
Yeah, just make it fearless. Like they're fighting because they're hungry and they want to eat, and so they become fearless because they're.
This is like Uglet Scouts again, isn't it? We were discussing why they were hungry, who they wanted to eat.
Why are they fighting harder if the food is behind them? Yes.
The key. Well, the hobbits are doing it to save the food, presumably.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
I think the key is here, though, is that the hobbits are not trying to eat people, and they aren't high. And I think
they should be. I think they should be.
Maybe they should be, and it would have made Rings of Power more enjoyable, but they unfortunately weren't.
Okay. We're going to move ahead to the villagers, because I don't think we need to say any more about the foragers. I think they're perfect as they are. The villagers, they come base unarmed, as does everybody in this. They can take a dagger or a walking stick for 1 point. So basically, my idea behind the foragers was that you, instead of taking a certain number of daggers and walking sticks, instead you would just take a forager to buff them all to count them as being armed and give them fearless. So it was just whether or not you considered.
So it's for every 7.
Yes,
you could afford one.
Yes,
but then they're definitely going to have probably less than 7 in their 3-inch bubble. It might be 2 or 3 because you can't take spears. So essentially, you've got a line of dudes.
Yeah.
So I'd argue it would be more reliable to just have a load of daggers and then like maybe 1 or 2 of the foragers, so that you can have some fearless where you need it.
Should maybe not, I'll knock the foragers down to 7, 8 then. 8, 7, 7. I'll knock them down to 7 points.
Okay,
because then they can give that buff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, basically they're just the normal. What's Onod changing? Is he changing? No. Okay. Good.
I'm not doing anything.
Okay. Sorry, you just had that grin on your face where you're doing something.
No, I was just sitting thinking, why do I care?
Care about what?
Just these profiles. I was like, actually, I don't need to argue about this. It doesn't fucking matter. And
You're destroying the magic. We nearly made it through this.
I've now entered a kind of Buddhist zen of just not caring.
I'm not sure that's quite what the Buddhists had in mind, but
no, I think that is what the Buddhists had in mind.
Okay. So they all get Stalk Unseen and they throw stones. So they're just normal hobbits, basically. They're really bad. Like
they've got Stalk Unseen though.
Yeah, but what's that going to do? What's that going to do?
Can they hide behind their wagons?
Yes.
Brilliant. So you just conga line them up behind, and then you just hope that you win on objectives.
Yeah, nice.
Just send the stranger out.
How many do you need to pick up a heavy object? Is it 2 or 3?
2.
2. So you need 2 like tucked in behind, and as they get shot, you just bring the next ones up and carry it forward.
They're basically how tanks were used in World War One.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
The
breakthrough
is just going to walk behind.
Yeah.
Whilst the tank just slowly rolls up.
Yeah. Perfect. The final one is the Harfoot Slingers, and I ran out of photos, so I just put in this one.
Oh, good, yeah.
I realized
at least we have models for these.
Not with slings.
Yeah, it's weird. They've made so many models of the slingers over the years. Like
they won't be WYSIWYG, but we will have models of
them. One thing I did realize was the slingers are actually probably the best units in the army. So I made the sling count as a bow, because otherwise I feel like you could just spam loads of these 12-inch strength 1 weapons. They come with a dagger, so they count as being armed. Yeah, and they just get a bonus if they don't move in a turn they shoot. It's not that impactful, like their strength 1. So, but yeah, they're kind of the more militarized end of the Harfoots, which isn't saying much, but yeah. If you can find a better photo, please send it over, because this is not the photo I want on the end profile, but it's the one we have.
I think we should keep it. What is Honor doing? Are you frozen?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just kind of locked into that face.
I think he's embracing the chaotic energy at this
I
point.
really am.
He's given up.
No, we can't change the photo.
Isn't the 33% bow limit just for missile weapons in general? Is it not?
Not for throwing weapons, not for things like not for blowpipes.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that is game breaking, that list. I think that would win every tournament.
Yeah. I'm really pleased with the wagons. The rest of it is
the wagons are really cool.
Yeah.
Wagons really cool.
Yeah.
But I will put together Poppy's one, because I'll admit that's an oversight. But yeah, that's who cares? As Onod so eloquently said, who cares?
Someone will use these rules probably.
Yeah.
Like one person, not us.
Oh.
Definitely not us, but I reckon one person will use something.
Oh.
A single.
I'd actually be so happy if somebody did. That would be amazing if somebody actually just brought I don't know, some Harfoot slingers and foraging model.
If anyone listening ends up using these rules, let us know. Let us know how it went on, and know how incredibly unbalanced it was.
Can you imagine my dwarves coming up against my Harfoot list?
Oh my god! Wouldn't they be wounding on a 1-up or something? Burly 2-handed with the shit that you gave.
Oh yeah, I mean Durin we were wounding on 2s with Mighty Blow.
Just and he causes 2 wounds, doesn't he? Doesn't he?
Yeah, with Mighty Blow. So yeah.
So he could one-shot any of those Hobbit heroes.
Yeah, well, he could kill 2. He could kill 2 wagons. No, could he kill 2 wagons in a turn? No, not quite.
Not quite.
But yeah. Wow.
Kill 2 Hobbit heroes in a turn.
Yeah.
Kill 3.
Harfoots.
Sorry, yeah, I forgot that they're different. Harfoots.
Legally distinct.
Legally distinct. Although Hobbit is already a trademarkable name, isn't it? Or a whatchamacallit name, IP infringement.
Yes, probably. Yeah.
Copyright Hobbit.
Perfect. Can you imagine if this got copy struck?
I hope it does.
For all the money we're making that they can have.
Yeah, I was about to say, take our revenue.
Welcome to all of the revenue from this video.
Actually, maybe not. If 2 years down the line, when we've got a
2 years down the line when we've made it and we are making 1p per video.
Perfect. I want that money.
Yeah, 1p split between 3 of us as well. So you just divvy it out. You get 1p every 3 episodes.
Compound interest would be fine.
It's good. News. So there is actually something to talk about.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's finally happened. We've been blessed by the gods of Games Workshop.
We really have. It's not this week going to be a 10-second audio clip. Me saying I like a model and then us not revealing what it was. The long-awaited Battle of Osgiliath. That's right, isn't it?
Yep.
Set is finally up for pre-order.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually surprised how quick it has come up for pre-order.
Yeah.
Considering that it only got released to the people who ordered it miles in advance 3 weeks ago. Yeah. It's almost like I was expecting it to come out a bit slower for everyone else. It doesn't really seem like you got anything for ordering it in the summer.
Yeah.
But there you go. Good. So Battle of Osgiliath is out. It looks pretty good. It's under £100 if you get it from a discount retailer such as Whaling. Hashtag not sponsored, but
affiliate link in the description.
Yeah, affiliate link would be nice. Plus Whaling, thank you. I mean, it is just really good value, isn't it? They're releasing the rules manual separately. Little tip: just wait for people to buy the Osgiliath box. They will then break it all up, and then like I did with the edition of the rulebook I have, you can pick it up for £10 on eBay.
Beautiful.
There you go. Easy life hacks. Are we going to update I think we've already asked this, haven't we? And the answer was maybe. I think.
Yeah.
There's also some dice.
Mm-hmm.
They look nice as well. Yeah.
Do they? I'm not as big of a fan of these ones.
Oh, I think they look fine.
Okay.
I'm a little bit confused because, like, the Isengard dice are the wrong hand.
Yes.
They're the left hand print, whilst normally
it should be the
right
hand.
hand print.
Yeah, and that's the person making it, not from
Yeah, I quite like the Gondor, the Minas Tirith ones. I think they look pretty nice. The Rohan ones just look the same as the old Rohan ones.
Mm-hmm.
The Mordor ones don't look quite as nice as the old Mordor ones, but they're fine. They're fine.
Yeah.
They're nice dice. And then they've got the invisible ring bearers that you can order from Forge World. £31. Not
Surprisingly cheap.
Surprisingly cheap. Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if they were like 40 plus, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's about it for news, really.
Yeah. But definitely a valid segment compared to what we normally do.
Right. I just wanted to do a little bit that I forgot to do the intro, where we remark on the fact that we've got some subscribers and maybe thank people. It is save that. Fuck you for subscribing. There we go.
Has your PR team got onto you and told you to just sort out your public image?
Yeah, pretty much.
How many subs are we on now? Is it 24?
24.
Wow.
I thought it was 25, 26, isn't it?
Oh wow.
That crazy.
I've just gone onto YouTube and on my recommended list is our latest video. Isn't that cool?
Weird that.
You are subscribed, so it's not
It's almost
bad.
like I've watched every single one of our videos for some reason.
He's subscribed and he dinged that bell.
I have actually dinged the bell.
Wow, you must be the only person who I know who's dinged a bell on YouTube.
I've also dinged the bell.
Oh my god, you nerds.
Yeah. We're on 26 subscribers.
I have not dinged the bell to our own podcast. I funny enough, know exactly when it is posted every week.
The Uglos video is still on 99 views. I'm going to bring it up every week until it's
please
not
never watch it. No,
no one's allowed to watch it. It has to stay on 99.
Don't watch it, please. Please
Currently,
do not.
our only two videos above 100 are the first Rings of Power profiles videos and the tournament lists video.
Yeah. Crazy.
Also, the only two that have been shared on Facebook. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
No, that's
it's almost it was shooting fish in a barrel really with the GBHL post. Like there's so many. I mean, like of the place we posted it, I feel like those are the people with like most interest in what the kind of content we were making.
I also think of our subscribers as fish who we are about to shoot.
It's easier that way. You don't not so worried about their opinions.
Exactly.
What they think of us.
Yeah. And to that one person who disliked our videos,
what video was that?
Congratulations, you're the only person with taste. It was the Rings of Power. I assume it was just I hate Rings of Power dislike.
Yeah, probably.
I might go and dislike that video too, actually. There we go. Good. Right. Next week, we're going to be doing the tournament review of what's the tournament you're going to?
It's called Winter Wonderland.
The Winter Wonderland tournament. Oh, that sounds very pleasant.
It'll be good.
It's going to be freezing for as well. It's going to be Baltic. That's what I'm thinking.
I would take a coat just in case, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be like ice forming on the air. So we will see you next week. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that your week is shit.
Fuck off. No, have a good week, everyone.
And it's
yeah, have a good week.
No, they should have a good week. I won't have a good week, so they shouldn't either.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow.
That is how it works, isn't it?
That's some kind of toxic. That's the kind of toxic mindset that we approve.
It really is. It really is. Bye, everyone.